Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Expectations were high that Joseph Parker's promoter David Higgins of Duco Events was going to reveal the WBO World Champion's next opponent at a pre-arranged news conference. But that has not happened. Instead, Higgins and Parker's trainer Kevin Barry repeated much of what they've been saying to the media in recent weeks. I kid you not, it was honestly like deja vu. The point of staging a news conference generally is to say something new and hopefully newsworthy. But sadly, there was little of that. I mean, it actually might have worked had Duco not been feeding information to one particular New Zealand website almost daily in recent weeks. So everything that was said today has been said. The key takeout, and again, this is not new, is Joseph Parker and his promoter, they want the Anthony Joshua fight next, if the money is right. So Joseph Parker would like to fight Anthony Joshua, and David Higgins, Parker's promoter, says, yep, we can make that happen with Eddie Hearn if he gives us a fair deal. So I'll do a quick recap of what Higgins had to say at the press conference. Parker, he spoke briefly, and Kevin Barry. Then a few thoughts, because we could be entering a race to the bottom here in terms of multiple champs wanting Joshua next. Okay, let's go. So Higgins, he echoed that several options for a voluntary defense for Parker's WBO strap are still in play. China's Zhili Zhang is there if they want it, probably for the second quarter of 2018. A contact of Bob Arum's would be the key player in that deal being made. A fight with Bryant Jennings is available for March 10th in Las Vegas if Parker wants it. A venue has been booked and it would be shown on ESPN. Alexander Povetkin, he's currently chasing the WBO mandatory spot, and he could be an option for sometime mid-2018-ish. Higgins reiterated Kyotaru Fujimoto, who had initially been considered, has been struck off the list for now, as the Japanese contacts that Duco have been dealing with simply couldn't get enough money and sponsors together. Higgins says in terms of Eddie Hearn, they have started exchanging emails. He says a potential unification has special public interest and a higher value, so it's not just about money. And if the Joshua side are going to treat them like a regular voluntary, then it probably won't happen. That in itself is a little bit confusing because it's not about money, but then it's about money. So Higgins also said if they really are ready to unify, then make a fair, reasonable deal. We are ready. He also said Deontay Wilder is trying to build a fight with Anthony Joshua through trash talk, but they'd prefer to stick to facts. But I would note, and this was quite funny to me actually, that Higgins went on to reference sparring rumours almost immediately after saying that he sticks to facts. He also made the argument that because Parker has never been down in sparring, the amateurs or as a pro, that he's got a better chin than Joshua. And that the two, if they were to meet and if they were trading, that Joseph could put Joshua down. Higgins says, our message to the Joshua camp is, yeah, we'll take the fight, but the deal has to respect that Joseph has earned a genuine world title and be a fair deal. Starting point has to be 50-50, but if the fight was in the UK where Joshua's fan base is, go a little his way, but not a lot. He then added it might happen in the second quarter of 2018, or maybe another year altogether. So if you've been keeping up with Joseph Parker news, about 97% of what Higgins has said in the news conference, which I just repeated there, it's just a flat-out regurgitation. The only one thing of note that I could sort of take from that is the March 10th date has been booked for a potential fight with Bryant Jennings. That's if they want it. And I would say if Bryant Jennings also wants it, he better get himself ranked too. Joseph Parker, he was briefly at the podium and he said, I want to fight Joshua. I want to test his chin. The ultimate fight is Joshua or Wilder, but Joshua is the preferred option. In terms of Lucas Browne, obviously he has been someone that's been touted in recent days as a likely opponent for Joseph Parker early next year. Higgins stated a deal has been reached in principle with Browne's camp, but nothing is signed and no contract has been sent to Browne. And that does sort of contradict what Browne had said. He said he has signed a contract. But the 25-0 Australian, he remains an option. He's sort of hanging out in the wind there, and if they want to sort of pick that up, then he's always available. So I feel a little bit bad for Lucas Browne, but so he is still in the mix, but whether that mix is going to be called on is anyone's guess. And Kevin Barry, he paid some respect to Lucas Browne, saying Lucas Browne is not a stay busy fight. And in terms of that, Higgins mentioned that that could be something that they could hold in any major city in New Zealand, possibly elsewhere. Barry, he went on to say that, or to regurgitate, should I say, Anthony Joshua has stamina problems, he's robotic, and has predictable lead patterns. And like Higgins, he wants that fight for Joseph Parker, but only if the money is right. You see, there's a real theme here. It's the money, the money, the money. Kevin Barry also spoke about the positives of a 6-week pre-Christmas training camp he'll be running with Parker to focus on losing weight and increasing foot speed. He's keen for Parker to get back into the high 230s. And the option of a Deontay Wilder unification bout, that was also mentioned. Higgins said a figure is on the table, but it's not enough. And if they put enough money on the table, then Parker would go to America. And I really do apologise if some of this feels like Groundhog Day, because I know that the bulk of what I've just been recounting, it is effectively a complete wrap of the bits and pieces Higgins & co. have said in recent weeks. They may not have said it all together, but it's just been threads here and there in different stories. I really do have to wonder, were they going to reveal something more concrete in terms of a fight or the what next? But something shifted. And shifted in the day since that news conference was called, and they just had to go ahead with it. I mean, it makes me wonder, because what was the value of what they did? I mean, the only thing that could have shifted is that the prospect of an Anthony Joshua fight got a little more promising. And that's only pure speculation on my part. But from what Higgins was saying, you know, there is some contact now, and that is more than last week. I would note, though, Joseph Parker, he has reiterated he wants the Anthony Joshua fight next. He wants to test his chin. Deontay Wilder, he also desperately wants to fight Anthony Joshua next. And he's also been engaged in a full-on campaign on social media to try and draw Joshua out. And it's actually been somewhat successful. I'd know Eddie Hearn, he was on the Boxing Voice with Wilder and Wilder's manager Shelley Finkel, and then Tyson Fury out of the blue turned up as well. But anyway, Hearn and Finkel effectively agreed that they would get in a room while Hearn was in New York this week to talk about a possible Joshua Wilder fight. But, you know, plenty of water to go under the bridge in this. I mean, remember, Eddie Hearn has actually said publicly he would prefer to have the Joseph Parker fight first, simply because he thinks the Wilder fight is a bigger one and a better one to save for after that, for mid-next year, when the weather is better and he can hold it in a stadium. So, you know, given all that, Parker, well, he's in with a shot, in with a chance if they can reach a deal. But reaching a deal, that will not be easy. I mean, Higgins, he's actually dreaming if he thinks he can secure anything close to 50-50. I mean, this might be hard for some Joseph Parker fans to take, and I am an avid Joseph Parker fan. But Joseph Parker is firmly the B-side in an Anthony Joshua-Joseph Parker fight. Sure, there's an argument he's a champion and deserves a decent split, but the reality, and it is a reality, Joseph Parker has almost zero profile and commercial value in the UK. UK casual fans do not know who Joseph Parker is. Anthony Joshua will generate the bulk of the money in any fight between the pair. It's a commercial reality, belt or no belt. Even if Joshua had no belts, he would be the one that would be raking in the bulk of the money. But if you have Parker or Wilder both pushing to fight Anthony Joshua in a unification fight some point early next year, doesn't that actually increase Team Joshua's negotiating power? Because Eddie Hearn, he can just drive a harder bargain, a harder offer, and play off the respective camps, because they're both gagging for a fight now. I mean, we have seen Higgins trying to do that with Hearn. He's clearly been trying to send Eddie Hearn a message that, well, you know, Joseph Parker, he's got options. And we just heard, you know, half a dozen mentioned at that press conference. But the reverse is also true as well. Anthony Joshua doesn't need the Joseph Parker fight. He could fight a number of other people. He could just fight Deontay Wilder and forget about Joseph Parker. And if they can't come to a deal, if Duco and Hearn, if things get too heated or they're just too far apart, Joseph Parker will be on the outside looking in, while another fighter, and that could be possibly Deontay Wilder, is getting a life-changing payday. And remember, Kevin Barry has said, and this is at the news conference and previously, he wants Parker to fight Joshua as soon as possible because Joshua can be beaten. And he wants Joe to be the one to beat him before anyone else. I mean, for me, if they are really that confident, if they believe in Joseph Parker that much, why not take a bit of a haircut on the money just to get the fight made? Because Parker would ultimately make up that amount of money that they don't get and then some if he wins. And I have seen arguments in the comment section of recent videos about the sort of purse split issue that, you know, fans think anywhere between a 20 to 50% cut of the purse for Parker is fair. And there's a lot of numbers flying around that people think, yeah, or 25%, 30%, 40%. It really is a hard thing for fans to settle on. So just imagine the dilemma that the promoters have. I mean, but while Higgins is trying to reshape, at least publicly, that the negotiation starting point is a 50-50 split, I'm sure he's more realistic and he's just putting on a front. And he'll have some figure, you know, a number or a percentage that's a bare minimum. We're not going to hear what it is. And time will tell if they can get a deal done. But sadly, and it really is sadly, money is the main thing here, the main stumbling block to this fight getting made. So I do hope that they can both come to some sort of agreement, get a fight made. What do you make of it all? What did you think of this news conference where we didn't actually hear anything new? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.